Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Thanks for coming back and to our episode 4 of 5. We are here with a very special guest, Genevieve Paturo. Hey Genevieve, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Wendy.
Hey, where are you calling in from?
Right outside Manhattan in Westchester County, Irvington, New York.
Okay, awesome. Well, JC's from upstate New York, and I'm down in sunny Florida, formerly from northeastern Pennsylvania. So hello, East Coast. Hey, I wanted to talk to you, or I wanted you to have you talk to us actually about reflecting on some obstacles that you faced during your journey to where you're at right now, maybe from fear and doubt and sleepless nights and tears, which I think you've talked about a little bit. But what is, give our listeners some advice about overcoming challenges and resilience, especially when they're transitioning careers.
I would say ask for help. There's the human connection at work. I was so afraid to do that. And so many of us are. We don't want to look dumb, especially if we started down one road and we were successful. How, crazy are people going to think that we're switching, especially if we're switching to something, that's totally different that we know nothing about. And we have to say, I don't know anything about this. Can you help me? And the minute I started saying, I don't know anything about this, can you help me? Everybody wanted to help. And I say everybody that I needed. And I think that that's the mistake that, a lot of us humans make. We are afraid we're going to be embarrassed. But we want to help each other. We really do. And if you are sincerely interested or in trouble or you need advice, everybody loves to give advice. Everybody loves to talk about their work. Find somebody who is where you want to be and say, I am so inspired by you. I don't know much about it. I don't want to take up much of your time, but do you have 10 minutes? Can I buy you breakfast? I really want to follow my heart and do this. And people will respond.
It really is. And you know what? If people don't respond, you're either asking the wrong way, you're asking too much, or you just need to move on and find somebody else. Because I just helped 2 consultants this week that I have no clue who they even are. I'm like, let me tell you everything you need to know and what not to do. Don't waste your time and money like I did. With that said, what lessons can HR professionals learn from your experiences?
Ask more questions. I think that we need to find out a lot more about why people are interviewing to work where they're working. I think we want to ask them, what would they like to contribute? And I remember a long time ago, someone read a stat that more people would rather have a pat on their back than a raise. And I know that everybody wants a raise too, but that spoke volumes to me. And I think because people don't feel seen and heard, and we're hearing that all the time now. So I think the more we sincerely want to find out about the person that we're considering hiring, or the reason the person's sitting in front of us if they're already an employee, to find out what matters and how they want to contribute. And I just don't think we ask enough questions like that.
Yeah, I agree.
In the United States, around 19% of workers are really good at bouncing back from tough situations, but the majority surveyed, about 81%, aren't as good at it or are considered vulnerable. Surprisingly, most of the resilient workers, about 86%, are also highly motivated, compared to only 44% of those who claim not to be as resilient. It's important to note, though, being vulnerable in a leadership position fosters trust. It helps build authenticity and connection, ultimately leading to enhanced collaboration, creativity, and organizational performance. Some of these stats, when I read them off like that, they just don't sound right. So I tacked in that final sentence there on the end to try to sew it together. I don't know if it's really great to say that, I'm not as good at it, or I'm considered vulnerable, so I'm going to devalue myself. I don't like that so much, but that's just me.
Yeah. I think that's just humans that they're saying we tend, and we've learned, unfortunately, from society to hide our flaws, right? And, I always ask this question when I'm doing management training. I always say, if you have had a leader in your past that you trust, you respect, you feel that you have some kind of connection with them, and they stood up in front of the whole company or the whole department, the whole team, and said, I screwed up. Do you have more respect for them or less? I have more respect for them because they're admitting their mistakes. What about you, Genevieve?
Well, I was just going to tell a story. I'm the founder of Pajama Program. We are 24 years old this year. I did 20 years as executive director before I wanted to be speaker and write my book so I can inspire the big kids, the adults who wanted to find their purpose. So one of the things that I put in my book was, in those 20 years, we saw as a nonprofit a lot of scary financial times, like many. It was the recession and it was 9/11. And at one point, I feared for our nonprofit, as many did. And I summoned up the courage, and I lost a lot of sleep. But I went into work and I called everyone in and I said, I don't know what to do. And I know that I took a chance, but I needed their voices. I needed their support. I needed an idea because I did not have another idea of what to try. And I said to myself, they all depend on you. You pull it out. You pull a rabbit out of a hat more times than you can imagine. They're not going to know what to do. Well, I was wrong. Everybody had an idea. Everybody wanted to help. We survived. We thrived. And the camaraderie was never as high as when one of the ideas that seemed like so simple I would never have thought of it, worked to bring us together. And it was because I said those words, I don't know what to do. And they saw the emotion. They knew the emotion. We all felt it. And they rallied. And people do that. I think that happens, and that will happen more than you would believe.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. That 4-letter word, help, it actually can really take a leader very far. So thank you for that insight. And thanks, everybody, for listening to episode 4 of our 5-part series on discovering purpose in career transitions and purpose in the workplace. We were specifically talking about overcoming challenges and resilience. In our next episode, our final episode, we're going to cover creating lasting impact and legacy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.